Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Grove. I'm glad that you are with us this morning. My name is Stephen, and I'm one of the pastors here. And if this is your first time or maybe first time back in a while, welcome. We do these the first Friday of every month for a really, I think, really specific and also really important reason. And the reason is this, is there's not many spaces in our lives or in our world where we as men have the opportunity to talk about the challenges of both being a man and being a person of faith. And so it's at the intersection of our masculinity and our Christianity that I think we need more opportunities with each other. I think the natural tendency of men is to be a little more solitary and to feel like we have to work through these problems or these challenges or the tensions and dynamics that we face in our life on our own. And I think we miss a huge opportunity to not do that with other men of faith. And so these opportunities give us the space to learn and then to also share and grow closer together and strengthen one another. And so I'm glad that you're here this morning. Thanks for prioritizing this time and being here. This morning, we have a guest speaker, which I've shared about in emails, but it was important to me that over time we start to bring in other voices. Because if anybody knows me well, or my family who's here knows, I am not the sole repository of all information and wisdom in the world. And so at some point, my cup runs a little dry, and y'all need to hear from other people besides me. And so I thought that this particular lesson was an important one that somebody else step in and share. And I think he'll share a little bit more about why, but the passage that we're talking about is one that he has used in his guidance and mentorship of me. So Michael McCay has been a friend of mine, and his family has been members of the Grove since day one. They were on our original launch team that came over from Highland Park Methodist, and so he saw me start to do this when I think I still had braces and acne. And so he's seen quite the journey, and now I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet a little bit, but thanks in large part to his guidance and his counsel. There have been many a time where I just call him and say, hey, I need you to help me think through this or work through this, and he'll be like, all right, come on, let's grab lunch, or hey, and he has this unique ability with almost laser-like precision to be able to cut directly through all of the noise and speak to some of the dynamics and some of the challenges, and then pull out some takeaways and some lessons and learnings from me. And so, Michael, you've been hugely valuable to me as a friend and as a mentor. And so I'm really excited that we all get to experience a little bit of what I've experienced in my relationship with Michael. And so I'm going to say a prayer for us and for our breakfast this morning, and then I'm going to invite Michael up to lead us in our men's breakfast this morning. So will you join me in prayer? Gracious God, what a gift that it is that we get to be here today, a day that was not promised to us, and an opportunity that we find before us to draw closer to you and also to draw closer to other men who love you. And so God, would you be present in our midst this morning? Would you be present in our thoughts and in our learnings and in our conversations, God? What an incredible opportunity that we have to get to come together and to be strengthened by one another. And so God, would you bless this time? Would you bless the food that we are eating and or digesting this morning, God, and the hands that have prepared it, so that it may strengthen our bodies and that we can devote our bodies to your service. We love you, and we pray all of this in your name. Amen. All right, gentlemen, will you help me welcome Michael to lead us?
So thank you, Stephen. I don't know if I can live up to the intro. I'm excited to be here, guys. I appreciate your time. You could be anywhere. You could listen to anybody, and you're stuck with me, so I apologize for that. What we're going to do is I'm going to tell you a quick story. Let's see if I can get the clicker to work here. Here we go. My wife, Denise, as Stephen said, we were original members here, and she loves one band, and it's U2. Okay, hopefully you've heard of U2. She is what I would call a groupie. She's been to 25 different U2 concerts around the world, loves everybody. We've got U2 books on our coffee table. It's all the music we listen to at home is U2. I'm worn out by U2. But she loves U2. And specifically, there's a lead singer you might know, a guy named Bono. Okay, so Bono, universal rock star. Well, when he's not a rock star, he's got a family. And his family, he's got a son. And you're looking at a picture of his son. So earlier this summer, we go to House of Blues downtown Dallas. And his son created a band. And the band is called Inhaler. I literally couldn't make that up. Inhaler. Okay, I'm like, oh my gosh. So he's trying to follow in universal rock star dad's shoes. And essentially what he does is his dad started U2, the band in Ireland, from his high school mates. His son does the same thing. Ireland, high school buddies, let's put a band together. And they begin to take advantage of and leverage his dad's power in the musical industry. They get the best producers, the best everything, best marketing, best musician, support staff, et cetera, et cetera. And they create this band, and they go on this tour. We're at House of Blues, June of this past summer, and I had no idea what to expect. I'd heard a couple of their songs in our house, because she's now playing not just U2, but Inhaler, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and our 15-year-old daughter, and what message are we sending? But nonetheless, there's a couple songs that are pretty decent. So we're going to the House of Blues, and we go in there, and before they come out, this is the first and only concert we've ever taken our 15-year-old daughter to. And I'm holding my breath. What are we going to see? What are the people going to do? Okay, here we go. Daughter's sitting here. Inhaler comes out as the band. They start to play a few, just get the music going, but they haven't sung a song yet. And his son comes out and says this. I was floored by this. He says, we're on the last leg of our U.S. tour. Dallas is our last city. I had no idea they could even do a tour. Okay, I didn't think they were that big. And by the way, we're going to go on our international tour tomorrow. Buenos Aires, Tokyo, et cetera, et cetera. This is it for you, United States of America. We are worn out. We've hit almost every city. And then he says something that stuck with me forever. I'm giving you all we got. I'm giving you all we got. And I say that because that's kind of where I'm at right now. When Stephen asked me to do this, I would have no idea my tank is empty, so I'm going to be vulnerable with you. I don't have a whole lot here, and I hope what I'm going to say in the next coming minutes is going to strike a chord with you. But we're going to give you all we got here, and I think you're going to like, hopefully, some of the stuff relative to leadership that we have. Okay, what happens in life, as we all know, is doors open and close. Timing is everything. I spent the last 3 days stuck in a room with people from Europe trying to close a business deal. And all I talked about was timing, timing, timing. So I would say the timing for us right now in here, there's probably a purpose for all of us getting up out of bed or doing whatever you do to be here this morning. I think that there's a purpose in our lives, where we are and why we're here at the Grove. And so I want to give some context as these doors open and close. Hopefully you'll see some knitting that I'll tie together here relative to my life. This picture here is in Fort Worth. This is at one of my customers in my business. We digitize HR processes. This is one of the coolest companies I've ever seen. It's called Escalante. And if you like golf and you're a guy, you would love this place. They buy and manage golf courses. Super cool. I mean, I couldn't believe their business. They have 22 different golf courses that they buy and manage. This is their war room at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, okay? I was invited to come to this. If you look on the back screen back behind it, you'll see a bit of a dashboard. You'll see green lines and a few red, mostly green. These are their golf courses, and this is how they're performing. They're phenomenal. Private equity backed, successful, successful. What you'll see in the middle of this, in the very middle with the guy leaning over in the black short sleeve shirt, is their CEO. And look around the room and you'll notice a couple things. Besides the technology, this meeting happens every morning, not just on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday, they hold this meeting. And what you'll notice on the table are a couple Bibles. Look at that. So now I'm sitting here invited to this meeting, and I'm like, what is going on? Every morning for the past 3 years, they have a Bible study. Every morning. They don't start at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. to get the day going. They start at 9 a.m. They take from 9 to 10 to do a Bible study. I was floored. I'm sitting right across in this Bible study, not represented in this picture, from their CEO. And I was engaged with them and listening to them, floored by what they're doing. So these doors open and close in one's life, and I was taken aback. After the meeting ended, I went to the CEO. For 30 minutes, I just quizzed him on this. You really are taking from 9 to 10 every day? How do you get your work done? He's like, Michael, you don't understand. These deals we do, we come in 4th or 5th place on these bids to buy these golf courses, and yet we win them. Why do you think that is? He's like, I have 3 other partners, and we are all equally yoked in our faith. And when we recruit people, we let them know this is how we roll. It's optional, and not all the employees attend, but about 80% do. So I was floored. That happened 5 months ago. I said, boy, when I come out of there, I'm driving back from Fort Worth to get back here. I said, I am going to do this in my company. 5 months have passed. I haven't done a thing until yesterday. Yesterday, I have this at our office. And what I'm going to go through with you now are some excerpts of what we did yesterday. I think they liked it. Their eyes were wide open. They're a bunch of millennials, and half of them are believers and half probably aren't. But I just want to say, we're going to talk about leadership and about courage. It took a lot of courage for this guy and these guys to do this. It takes courage for us to do things in our lives. I'm just sharing, giving you all I got. I'm sharing what I did yesterday, and I'm going to share that with you now. So what we did is we talked about leadership big picture, and I'm trying to tie it back to biblical faith, and I'm trying to show heroes out in the Bible and relative to what we can do today. So paint a big picture. We all know this, but I'll just give you all this. As I was preparing for this, I did some research, and I was kind of amazed how little I knew or how much still is out there. So the 40-year journey in the wilderness, et cetera, on the picture on my left is going to be some grounding of this. You've got the Jordan River going on the middle. On the left side or the east side is where they've been roaming around for 40 years. The Israelites have been rebellious, and God is waiting for 40 years for them to die off, basically, until they can cross into the promised land. So that 40 years is coming to an end. On the other side, same picture, but to give you some context, it's not a stream, the Jordan River. It's 100 feet deep. And there's a 2-mile stretch they've got to cross and 20 miles long, and there's one way to get to the promised land. And they've got to do this. So we're roaming, and 40 years have gone by. Moses is their leader, okay? And from Moses, he is told he doesn't get to go. Okay, so one of the greatest leaders of all time, greatest leaders of the Israelites, he is told, you can't go, but you got to pick, a successor. All of you in your lives or your businesses sometimes have to pick a lieutenant, a succession plan, if you will. If I'm run over by a bus, who fills in? Joshua's the guy in this scenario. So Moses essentially is saying, you're it. Moses is 120 years old. He's going to go up to heaven. So Joshua gets the tap on the shoulder. And what do you think Joshua's reaction is? Like most of us, scared to death. Okay? He's like, I'm not the guy. You're the guy. And he doesn't want to do this. Literally doesn't want to do this. So he lacks courage. God tells him, you're not going to cross the Jordan, and Moses commissions Joshua publicly. So Joshua, being scared, does what he does and does what most of us do. He begins to back off. Moses then goes to Mount Nebo, which is where you can see into the promised land, and he dies. God allows him to see the promised land. Moses goes to heaven. The sandals are empty, and now the Israelites need a new leader. Joshua's been appointed it, but Joshua doesn't want to be it. For one reason, Joshua lacks courage. He doesn't have a vital tool in his toolkit to be the leader. So what happens is God comes to talk to Joshua. And essentially he's saying, look, no one's going to be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you or forsake you. Imagine you're Joshua and God is telling you that. He's seen Moses do these wonderful things, and God is saying, I got you. I've got you. And with that, you would think Joshua would be 2 feet taller. What does he do? Still afraid. Probably, to pause here for a second, like a lot of us in our life. I can go through history of my little life. Oh my gosh, weak. Little bit of courage here, weak. And we probably all are part and parcel to that. And it's okay. Here's God talking to this guy. So what he does now, in 4 verses, 3 different times, tells him again, be strong and courageous. Let me tell you, how many different ways can I tell you? We're going to be strong and courageous. Joshua's beginning to get the message. So essentially what's going to happen here in our lives, we've got one of 3 options in most situations as a leader. Number 1, you can go for it. Okay? demonstrate courage, I'm going to go in. Number 2, retreat. And number 3, walk around the situation. So I can't tell you how many times I've actually done the last thing, walk around the situation. Path of least resistance. Think about it. You've got an employee. It's just easier to not engage. Just let me ignore the thing. I work with a bunch of millennials. They want to be paid all the time, every time. I got it. But when you get into performance reviews, oh my gosh. Every one of them wants to be stroked all the time. And if you don't stroke them right, they don't like that. So what's the easiest thing as a leader? Step around it. Just don't even do it. It's easier to not do that. But a leader wouldn't do that because that's a disservice to them. So I want to give you that example to say, as he's going forward, he has no choice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a compass, if you will. I'm going to give you a tool like Stephen does. He gives us tools. Here are 2 or 3 things at the end of every service. Here's something that I think works, at least it works for me, and I'm going to give you this compass, if you will. So with that, there are going to be 4 parts of your leadership compass. And you can ignore the lion here for a second and just listen to me on each of these. We'll break these apart. Think of it as a north, south, east, and west, okay? The north part of your compass is going to be vision, okay? So God was painting a vision for the Israelites. We're going to the promised land. Think about you and your world. You have goals, you have aspirations, you have things that you want to do. Think about it in your business life. Like right now, we're sitting here in my business trying to plan vision-wise for next year, budget-wise, et cetera. And where do you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now? Where do you want to be physically, mentally, spiritually? Vision, vision, vision. We can all say, here's my moonshot for whatever that is. Got it, okay? Next part, if that's the north part of the compass, the south part of the compass that I want to ground you with is going to be reality. In reality, a lot of leaders don't have. Reality is, what's the situation around me? If my vision is, I want to climb Mount Everest, the reality is, I show up in a t-shirt and shorts with no training and no preparation. That lacks wisdom, obviously. So the reality is you can have a moonshot, but you have to surround yourself with reality. Reality is not bad news. You just have to know what you have to work with, okay? The east part, if you will, of this compass is going to be ethics. Now this, when I was in college, they used to teach ethics, which they still do. And the minute they said ethics, I got it. I checked out because to me that meant fraud. I'm never going to do fraud. I was a finance person. I'm not going to do fraud. So I was like, I got this. But ethics is not that. You can say integrity, you can say character. It is doing the right thing, the right time, the right way. Easier said than done for a lot of people. So okay, you've got a vision, you've got reality. I'm going to do things right, the right way. But by far, this is where our lion comes in, okay? By far, the hardest one in my opinion, and what do I know, is courage. Think about that for a second. Every one of us in this room can vision anything. There's no price of admission for that. Every one of us can say, yep, this is the situation. Easy to do. Anybody can come off the street and say that. Everybody can say, yep, I know right from wrong. Not everybody can demonstrate courage. Think about it in your life. Where in your personal life or your business life, in your past, the present, and the future, when we step out of here, are you going to have opportunities to demonstrate courage? The hardest thing to start a business is this right here. The first step. That is courage. Anybody can say, oh, I got a business plan, I want to do this, and I got that, and I'm going to do things right. But this, with no net, is courage. Sometimes stupidity, you might say. So what I want to talk about is courage biblically, and there is a very good friend of mine that has given me a gift, and this gift sits in our living room. And yesterday I brought this out. It's a Bible verse. We're going to read it here in a second. If you can't read it, that's fine, because I'm going to show it to you. I've had this in our den for a little while, and I used this yesterday with our team, and I said, I'm going to take this out of my house and hang it in my office. Very, very prominently. And basically it's the verse that Stephen mentioned, and essentially it's right here. And this one, it's not that hard to memorize, but I've got this one down pretty cold. And this one to me, I'm always throughout the day, probably 3 or 4 times a day on average, saying this to myself again. And essentially Joshua 1:9 is saying, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid or dismayed, for I will go with you wherever you go. Now back to Joshua and Moses. Moses is gone. Joshua is, having this message from God. And what I want to do is I want to unpack this verse, because I think this can be really helpful for us in a few minutes to be able to say, okay, it's not just about the verse, but let's unpack a few pieces of it. The first part is this is not optional. Have I not commanded you? This is from God. Not, hey, I'd like you to do this. Hey, this is what I'd wish you could do. Have I not commanded you? And a lot of people, when they recite the verse, they don't put this first part in. They just go to the next part. This part, I think, is the most important one. Have I not commanded? This is not a game. This is not optional. So I do a breath prayer to myself throughout the day when I'm weak. And by the way, guys, I roll weak most of the time. You know, giving you all I got, being vulnerable, this is how most of us many times are. And so let's say you got this, and then you say, okay, be strong and courageous. So obviously just the opposite of being weak and afraid. Not optional, be strong. Any part of your life. If you just stop there with the rest of the verse, it's going to be helpful. You're not going to really, it's not going to matter, but there's so much more to it. Because with this, we're essentially saying, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. So not optional, be strong, don't be afraid. Because the best part is right here. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And if you just let that sink in and marinate on that for a minute, the Lord your God is going to be with you wherever you go. I love that. And so we've seen this image many times, and just I want to say this because I said this to the millennials. Essentially what's going to happen is throughout your life, you're going to walk through the footprints in the sand. And you know, the famous story here is you see two footprints all throughout life, and you look back in your life, and there's a few points in life where there's only one footprint. And the two footprints are God and yourself, or Jesus and Christ and yourself. And you look back and say, why was there only one footprint? Why did you leave me during my worst times? And the answer is no, I never left you. I carried you. And so I think this is applicable, and yet we overlook this as men and forget this many times, is to say, look, God is carrying us for a lot of our life. And he's here with us. And so essentially, again, he's saying be strong and be of good courage. So now we go back to Joshua, and here's the problem. Joshua was stepping into impossible shoes. Look at this on the right. Basically, he's following Moses. Moses talked to God. Okay? He parts the Red Sea and he gets the 10 Commandments. That's pretty tall order to fall into that. And so he's trying to say, gosh, how am I going to do this? What's the story here? And essentially, courage is not about Joshua's ability. It's about God's presence. It's not about our individual skills. Think of us as having superpowers if we only tap into it. So in this case, it wasn't about Joshua. It was about leveraging God. And so where it takes us as we begin to close here is, what will you do? What will I do? What will you do relative to this? So Moses has gone in this situation, but Yahweh is not. God is still present, and he's present with us. Along with that, the mission continues and the presence continues. So their desire to get to the promised land, and as I was thinking this through, it just hit me last night. Each one of us has a vision for what God hopefully has for our promised land. We're all sitting many times on the left side, the east side of the Jordan River, wandering around, roaming around in our life, thinking we got it, but God's got a better plan for us. And the challenge is, how do we get across our Jordan River? And I think this verse is a great tool in our toolkit. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid or dismayed, for I will go with you wherever you go. So what I'd like to do is remind you that God's with us wherever we go. And as we do breakouts now, here's my suggestion. First and foremost, obviously introduce yourselves to those at your table. I would ask that you would take that compass, the north piece, which is vision, and the other piece, which is courage, and discuss in your past life, if you would, where you've seen or demonstrated vision or courage. In your day-to-day, your present life, where could you this afternoon demonstrate vision or courage? And then going forward, where do you think in your life, your business, your whatever, the ability for you to demonstrate vision or courage? Stephen has created a couple additional questions for us, so here they come. So with this, I'll leave these up here, but again, feel free to, I'm not going to read these for you, but feel free to go through either of these questions, or past, present, or future, vision or courage relative to Joshua 1:9, see where you've seen this in your life. So turning to your tables. Thank you for listening. Thanks for letting me be vulnerable here, and I appreciate you. So, go for it. Thanks, guys.